We appear to have signed more right wingers than the average question time audience. Hi, my name is Mike. Welcome to my vlog about football in general and Burnley FC in particular. A vlog that reckons the yellow card crackdown will be forgotten by the start of October, or 34 seconds after a big club loses a player to 2 yellows for kicking the ball away, whichever is the sooner. So it's the start of a new Premier League season, a Premier League that is looking like a detective who has to solve a particularly difficult murder case and hasn't a single clue to go off. That's right, it's got no leads. Now, I'm not going to do an actual sort of, preview of the season or anything like that. I just wanted to comment a little bit about the summer. The summer has been defined by the transfer business, the long-running saga of will we actually have Nathan Tella playing in claret and blue shirt or not. I have to be honest with you, I was sick of that story about 3 weeks ago. And I got to the point where I didn't care whether we signed him or we didn't sign him, as long as it just bloody stopped. We also don't have Ian Maatsen, and that was kind of like a little bit of a shame, but he's clearly worked his way into Pochettino's plans at Chelsea. Now, if Tella or Maatsen or indeed Lokonga were actually going to ever be clarets, then it would have been done by now. The new season has started for Southampton. Just give up and move on. Tella, the best of luck to him at Southampton. Hopefully our paths cross in the Premier League next year. But frankly, it's been an embarrassment on social media for the past few weeks. And speaking of embarrassment on social media, Alan Pace's daughter did a short TikTok about Nathan Tella, a free Tella TikTok, which I thought was very funny, was very well put together and very, very clever. At which point the Joy Police jumped all over her for it. Why are people spending so much time policing what other people are doing and saying all the time? I thought that was actually quite a clever little video, a really neat idea executed very well. But no, people had to tear it apart. They had to tear it apart for a sign whether Tella was actually going to sign or not. Southampton fans were saying chairman's daughter shouldn't be allowed to do this sort of thing. She is her own individual person. She is allowed to express herself however you like. There was even accusations that the use of Free Nelson Mandela as a soundtrack was a sign of racism. And at which point you just want to go, please Elon Musk, can you destroy that business even faster than you currently are, because it'll make the world a better place. But people trying to police what other people do and what other people create is ridiculous. I thought it was a fun thing. Get a sense of humour, get a sense of perspective on this sort of thing. But anyway, on to things that have actually happened. The players that we have brought in this summer, we appear to have signed more right wingers than the average question time audience. And there is some great news, which if it comes off today, about Sander Berge at Sheffield United, which is exactly the kind of player we need. We've been signing winger after winger after winger, whereas the main holes in central midfield and left back seem to have gone unplugged. Berge has been a proven central midfielder for Sheffield United for the last couple of seasons. He's coming into the last year of his contract, and he seems exactly the sort of person that we need, the sort of player that we need in the centre of the park, because we're going into the game against Manchester City on Friday with a central midfield pairing of Josh Brownhill and Jack Cork, the very same central midfield pairing that got absolutely overrun in the Premier League 2 years ago, let alone now that they've got more miles on those particular pairs of legs. So hopefully Berge comes in. The price we've seen is about £12 million. As for why Sheffield United are selling him, well, there's an interesting story that I think people should be keeping an eye on. Sheffield United were put up for sale early this year for a price of £90 million. Now, at the time, the Blades were in second place in the Championship and looking a strong probability for promotion. So that asking price of £90 million is less than 1 year's TV revenue within the Premier League, which they looked pretty certain to be getting. And when they did get promoted, the asking price went up, but it went to 170 million, which is basically 1 year in the Premier League plus the parachute payments, which really begs the question, what the hell is hiding in Sheffield United's accounts that makes them so cheap? But we're going to hopefully, maybe, take advantage of that. It sort of parallels to the Chris Wood situation. Well, we weren't financially distressed at the time, but we're weakening a potential relegation rival, which is an interesting situation if you're a Burnley fan. And speaking of spending money, this is another thing that happened just over a year ago when Sean Dyche got sacked. There were a lot of complaints about ALK's transfer spending, and one of the metrics that was used to attack them was the net spend. Now, the net spend at the time was used as something to hit ALK over the head with, as an excuse for the poor performance on the pitch, for Dyche being unable to refresh the squad. People were basically accusing ALK of not spending money. The net spend at the time, I believe, was something around about £5 million. But if we fast forward a little under 18 months, we can count the incomings last year and the outgoings last year, the incomings this year in the two transfer windows. ALK have spent a lot of money, but let's go back to that net spend metric. If you actually check the numbers as I record this, ALK's net spend as it stands over the last 3 transfer windows, so that's 2 summers plus the January window just gone, it's just £17 million total across the 3 transfer windows. On average, just under £6 million per window. Now, if you were to say ALK had a net spend of only £17 million over 3 transfer windows, you'd think people would be complaining about that. You'd think people would be consistent about complaining about the net spend. But no, that just shows what net spend is. It's just a bullshit metric. Never ever trust a metric invented by Rafa Benitez. So I mentioned, we're playing City on Friday. I'm looking forward to the game, although it does have that, oh God, it's City kind of thing going on. And they didn't win the the Community Shield yesterday. Just out of interest, there's always something symbolic about how the FA had to rename the Charity Shield to the Community Shield. The reason for it was that the Charity Shield was set up in order to put money towards grassroots football. But the FA couldn't actually comply with charities law by stating exactly which clubs and which grassroots organisations the money was going to. A football club, a grassroots football club, is not necessarily a charity. So the FA, rather than kind of actually giving the money to charity or anything like that, decided the best thing is we'll call it the Community Shield and we might redistribute the money differently, i.e. more into their own pockets. Anyway, mentioning the yellow card thing earlier as well, it's good to see the authorities are trying to prevent time wasting, though I imagine the media will be moaning about it fairly soon. You see it already, but if it does stick, then great. Can we look at tactical and rotational fouling by Man City next, please? But as for Friday, as for the game against City, who knows? I'd rather be playing City at the start of a season rather than at the end, because they always have that thing where they kick into gear about December and then suddenly just go on a 20-game unbeaten run. The fixture list has not really been particularly kind, but we've kind of got away with it, in that the game after City was Luton away, and that was the one thing I didn't want to play. I don't mind playing Luton. I think Luton are going to struggle this year. The one thing I didn't want to do was go to Kenilworth Road for the first game. And the reason for that is that crowd will be absolutely on top of it. They'll be on top of it for whoever visits, in the same way that Clarets were on top of it for the first game of a season after promotion, where we played Man United and beaten, and when we played Liverpool and beaten. So to be in the situation where we were going down to Luton to be the first people to go into that particular stadium, I was like, oh, that's a bad draw. But we got away with it. We got lucky. Luton have not been able to get their ground upgraded in time, which means the fixture has been postponed rather than swapped around. But as for Friday's game, who knows? I'd quite like us to score a goal against City. Wouldn't you? That'd be nice. I'm not expecting a win. I don't know how we're going to play. I think Josh Cullen is going to be a bit of a miss in that centre of midfield. But on the other hand, let's see what we're like going forward. Let's see how our new players are. I'm looking forward to seeing Foster. I'm looking forward to seeing Abdoudi. I hope to see Bayer and Ekdal at the back, or at least Ekdal out there. I absolutely rate Ekdal. I think he is as good as Alderweireld and Bayer. For some reason, he doesn't seem to be first choice. But, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be nice to be back on the turf. It's going to be nice to be back around the people I've sat next to for the last 10 years or so. Whether they're happy to see me back, I don't know, but there you go. But it'll be good to see the turf and in August and football being back of the Clarets. If you've got any comments about this video, please feel free to leave them down below and I will respond where I can. If you liked it, click the like button. And if you like what I do, have a look around the rest of the channel and click subscribe to be notified when I produce new content.